What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Cinema Essentials. The episode is called Brother's Keeper, and it gets this name because Lincoln has been doing various jobs and borrowing money to pay for Scofield's education so he could make it through a respectable life. In episode 16, we'll experience how Lincoln, Scofield, Sucre, and others lived their lives 3 years ago. If you're ready, let's start Season 1, Episode 16. I'm your host, Theo. Scofield finds Lincoln sleeping on the street and asks what's wrong, saying he got his message and came over. When Scofield tosses him the apartment key he'd been clutching, Lincoln says he has things to talk about. They should meet at the restaurant on Main Street at noon to eat and talk. But Scofield says he heard Lincoln lost his job last week and asks what happened this time. Lincoln responds by asking if Scofield really wants to know, or if he's just asking because someone higher up told him to. Scofield says he just wants things to always be like their brothers and walks away. When Lincoln gets home, he finds Crab, who'd been there for who knows how long. It's Crab sitting on the couch. Lincoln says he'll pay back the $90,000, and Crab calmly says, "Easy, little brother, I already got my money back," when another guy comes downstairs and says, "I paid him." At a bar, while Scofield is drinking and listening to the news, the guy asks him if he had to choose between Vice President Caroline Reynolds or that hot blonde from HR, which would he pick? Scofield says he'd pick the third option. When Veronica arrives and greets them, asking what they're up to and if she's seen Lincoln, Veronica replies that as a lawyer from downtown court, things are going fine. It's been about a year since she and Lincoln had their falling out, and she's been avoiding seeing him on purpose. Lincoln insists that no matter who it is, he won't kill anyone. The guy says that Purcell isn't a good man. He's been causing suffering for everyone. Think of it as a $90,000 bullet. Once this is done, neither of us will owe each other anything, and you can start your new life, he tells Lincoln. After talking and drinking all night, both of them end up drunk at Scofield's apartment. Just when things are about to get intimate, Scofield's phone rings. It's Lincoln calling. Coming to his senses a bit, Scofield says this isn't appropriate and calls a taxi to take her home. Lincoln, who's been calling, keeps sending voice messages saying, "Little brother, I'm in trouble, please pick up the phone." But since Scofield doesn't answer, Lincoln makes his decision and goes through with the killing. Just like we saw at the beginning of the story, when Lincoln gets to the car, the person inside is already dead. Lincoln runs away from the parking spot and crashes right into Sucre and others having a conversation. While Sucre, Sanchez, and Hector are talking, Sucre spots his true love when he sees little Marie Cruz in the distance. At a hospital where Sarah works, she goes into the medicine storage room, takes a morphine vial, and when people aren't looking, injects herself to experience worldly nirvana. Actually, Sarah was a doctor at that time, but she was just a girl addicted to drugs. In the Middle East, in Kuwait, at Ahmed Al-Jaber Air Base, we have our troublemaker C-Note, or Staff Sergeant Benjamin Franklin. At his superior's request, C-Note agrees to smuggle illegal alcohol, beer, and other items, and in return, instead of going to the front lines, he gets to keep his prison guard position. Veronica comes to Scofield's office and tells him Lincoln has been arrested for murder. Looking at the prison intake forms, she asks about the circumstances, and Lincoln only says he was set up. When Scofield asks if Lincoln killed someone over the $90,000 debt everyone knows about, Lincoln says he'd only do something stupid. But he wouldn't kill anyone. Mom had life insurance. I used my half for school. What did you do with your half? Scofield asks. Lincoln replies, "Situations aren't what they seem, Michael." Walking through the office and looking at all the newspapers and evidence lined up, Veronica says it looks like he'll get the death penalty. Scofield asks why Lincoln has $90,000 in debt. Is it because of drugs or gambling? Veronica says, "You're thinking wrong. I decided not to say anything, but I'll tell you the truth so you know. That $90,000 debt was accumulated paying for you. Your mother never had any life insurance money. The money you used for school and buying a house when you turned 18, Lincoln borrowed and gave it to you. Since he knew you wouldn't take it if he gave it directly, he lied and said it was from life insurance. That's the truth he reveals." Later, during another prison visit, Scofield apologizes to Lincoln and asks why he didn't tell the truth about the money. Lincoln simply says, "It wasn't necessary, we're brothers." As they're talking, Scofield says There's something I don't understand. All the witnesses are lining up against you, and you're on the CCTV footage. If you didn't kill Terrence Stedman, how could someone make it look so much like you did? Behind this whole case, the masterminds working systematically are Paul Kellerman and his team. Walking through the snowy forest, Sucre, Sanchez, and Hector are talking. I really like that girl, you know. She sells ice cream at the downtown market. Tomorrow I'm going to take her to that traditional restaurant on Creek Road and buy her dinner, Sucre says. Hector asks, can you even afford to go to a place like that? Sucre thinks about it, then puts a gun in his waistband and robs a convenience store. The store owner fearfully gives him all the money, but Sucre doesn't take it all. He says, if I can get enough for an elephant, that's enough, takes just one bill, and leaves. Now that he's got the prison guard position, Staff Sergeant C. Note is happy, no need to go to the front lines. But while walking, he hears screaming sounds, and when he carefully peeks around the corner, he sees prisoners being tortured inside the prison. Sitting in the office, reading the police report from when Lincoln was arrested, Scofield opens a drawer and finds a little origami bird, which makes him think about something. The drug-addicted Sarah gives her drug-using boyfriend 2 morphine-filled syringes as a gift from the hospital. While the boyfriend is hugging and kissing her, they hear a crash. Someone got hit by a car. Because of the morphine, Sarah doesn't know what to do, and the boyfriend drags her away. Staff Sergeant Benjamin C. Note Franklin, what a long name, reports to his superior that the blue Grand Prix 42 he ordered will arrive tomorrow morning. The superior calls him for another matter, asking how much he wants to report about the prisoner torture. I don't like these guys, but we have to follow the Geneva Convention. But what I'm seeing is wrong, and someone needs to take responsibility, he says. Unexpectedly, the superior tells the security guards to arrest the sergeant for illegal contraband smuggling and dismissal from the U.S. Army. This is how a C. Note, who served his country well as a good soldier and reported wrongdoing, was kicked out of the army he inherited from his father due to the corrupt and opportunistic superior. After reviewing the evidence submitted by corrupt officials regarding the murder case, the judge from downtown court rules that Lincoln Burrows is guilty. He shall remain confined in a cell until his sentence is confirmed. At the traditional restaurant on Creek Road, after feeding Sucre and Marie-Cruz 2 plates of chicken curry, they become lovers. When Marie-Cruz says, "Mommy, I'm going to the temple," and leaves with her little bag, Sucre sits in the air-conditioned VIP room, drinking the never-satisfying ocean water. All the single fans without girlfriends should cry. After leaving the army, C. Note applies for jobs in the civilian world, but no one hires him because he's a soldier discharged with a criminal record. C. Note's friend asks how long he can go on like this. "We've been lying to your wife KC, telling her the army gave you leave. No one gets extended leave that long. Soon they'll start asking questions. If there's nothing else to do, drive trucks," he suggests. But knowing the trucks would carry illegal goods, C. Note says he'll think about it. Talking about the case. "After Mom died, it was just you and me left. I don't know where you are or what you're doing, but every morning, there's a little origami bird next to me. When I was young, I didn't really understand its meaning. I thought it was just your way of showing me you were watching over me. Now I've read about it and learned that when you want to show you're taking responsibility for and protecting your family, you use paper cranes. I think this time it's my turn to watch over you," Scofield says. As visiting time ends, Lincoln says he's being transferred to another prison where he'll wait for his execution. The prison is called Fox River, which makes Scofield think about something. Single mother Susan with her 2 children is preparing dinner. She tells the kids to behave themselves when the doorbell rings. She opens the door to find a gentleman in a neat suit who introduces himself and compliments her appearance. After office hours, when no one's around, Scofield returns to get files and documents related to Fox River. In front of a house on the waterfront, while Sucre and his friends are talking, Sucre says he's going to propose to Marie-Cruz. Hector asks how long he'd have to save to buy an engagement ring. 10 years. When Sucre asks why he's being negative and can't be happy for him, Hector says, "No man, I'm worried you'll suffer. We're manual laborers while they're rich kids. While we're riding bikes, they're opening jewelry stores. I'm just telling you the reality." The next time he robs the convenience store, the owner gives him an elephant, but this time he wants more. The owner says, "Fine, take it all," and gives him all the money. As Sucre exits the store, police cars arrive and arrest him. The one who called the police was the beggar Hector, who had a one-sided crush on Marie Cruz. Vice President Caroline Reynolds and Paul Kellerman are talking when he says, "I found the house situation you wanted. The problem is it'll cost about $2 million. She tells him to use money from the campaign fund. Since she's solved his problems, she can use that money to buy the house. In a room in the church, during a group meeting, Sarah says, "I've been clean for 18 months. When I was using, I thought I was happy. But when I actually got clean, I realized it felt much better. So I want to go back to work to help people again." A man named Bellick approaches and says, "Sarah, you used to be a doctor, right? I have a job opening at Fox River where I work. If you're interested, want to have dinner and talk about it." Sarah politely says, "Sorry, thanks for telling me about the job. I'll think about it." After getting arrested for driving trucks with illegal goods, C-Note gets bail and briefly returns home. He lies to KC, saying he has to go back to the front lines because their experienced unit is being redeployed instead of other units. He also tells his brother-in-law to take care of KC and the family while he's gone, and asks him never to let them know he's in prison or where he is. Reading the newspaper clipping about Lincoln's final appeal being denied, Scofield looks at the Fox River blueprints he stole from the office, posts them on the wall, and makes plans alone in the room. At home, while preparing dinner and talking to the kids about math, Teabag arrives and kisses Susan. When she goes back to her room, she sees Teabag's face on TV as a wanted murderer. Alone in the room making plans, trying to memorize locations, but getting frustrated because what he remembers keeps changing when he looks at something else. A little girl covered in tattoos brings the medicine Scofield ordered. Looking closely at the tattoos, he thinks of something and smiles. Getting an idea, Scofield uses tracing paper to overlay the Fox River blueprints with tattoo designs, creating pathways. Looking at the entire wall covered with detailed information and newspaper clippings, he prepares meticulously for the plan's success. Because responsible citizen Susan reported him, Teabag ends up at the most suitable place, Fox River Prison. During the intake process, Susan says that for someone who killed 6 people, this place is the best. "I brought you into my house, left him near my children, thank God nothing happened." The sharp-tongued Teabag says, "One day I'll get out of here. When that time comes, don't think I won't remember the stairs to your house." And Susan spits at him with disgust before leaving. At the $200,000 house they bought in Montana, Caroline Reynolds and Terrence Stedman are together when she says, "When Burroughs dies, everything will go back to normal. Don't worry about anything." When everything is systematically arranged, wearing a proper Western suit with the confident, dignified expression of a salt tycoon, holding 2 guns, he walks out and episode 16 ends. Since we'll be presenting this series daily, 1 episode at a time, please like and subscribe to Cinema Essentials channel. To all our supporting audience, the Cinema Essentials family wishes you mental health and physical prosperity. Thank you everyone for watching till the end.